Hello, this is Warren from OnTableTop. We are running a challenge. We've been running it now, and we're just about to start our final month of Dungeonalia. It's a challenge with loads of prizes, loads of categories, and it's everything to do with dungeon delving. Now, as you'll know, for me, probably my favorite game, certainly dungeon-wise, in all of the world, is HeroQuest. I play it with my kids. I've been playing it since I was a whippersnapper, and I just love it. And one of the things that I like to do whenever I'm playing with my kids is introduce lots of new monsters and characters. And I have a process using AI, art and whatnot, to help me visualize that and to create the little assets like cards or little pages and printouts and things specifically for the games of HeroQuest that I run. So rather than creating characters and then hunting around and looking for miniatures, what I tend to do is, well, I collect miniatures. So I have lots of miniatures. I will paint one up and then I will turn it into a character. And what I'm going to show you now is how you can supercharge your games of HeroQuest with some really interesting monsters and characters from your collection. Now, before we jump straight into that, I would like to take a moment to just quickly introduce you to the Dungeonalia Challenge and specifically our sponsor of today's video. I want to do a shout out to Xtool, okay? So if you go to OnTableTop, you will find links to Dungeonalia on the homepage. When you click through, there is a page which will explain to you how to enter the Dungeonalia Challenge. And like I said, we have loads of different categories. So here we have how you get involved, how you create a project, and how you put your project into the project system so that everybody can enjoy all of our work together. The categories and prizes, there's the Dungeon Stonemason. This is our big category. So it's the best three-dimensional dungeon build. And I want to do a particular shout out to Xtool, who have put up a prize of a Xtool 10-watt D1 Pro laser cutter and an enclosure. I've got to say now, I've been playing around with this, my Dungeonalia project, which I will be bringing to you over a couple of videos over the course of this month before the Dungeonalia Challenge ends, is I'm trying to make a kind of like an heirloom version of the HeroQuest board. So what I'm doing is I'm working with some really interesting timber, so exotic woods. So this is an acacia wood that I'm running some tests on, and I've come up with a process to be able to lay out and laser engrave the HeroQuest rooms and corridors and things like that. But I will bring you more on that. But if you fancy learning a bit more about the Xtool, by all means, click on the link, head on through to Xtool. It's a great product for hobbyists. I particularly like the open frame format because it just gives me a little bit more flexibility. However, it comes with safety issues and things like that. I talk about them at length in my videos when I'm working with the Xtool stuff. So please bear that in mind. You've always got to be careful when you're playing with lasers. Right. So if you want to get involved in Dungeonalia, head across to OnTableTop.com. And once again, a big, massive thank you to Xtool and all of our other sponsors who have been putting up prizes. Let me run through some of the other categories for you very quickly. So we have the Dungeon Stonemason category. We also have the Dungeon Architect category. So it's a two-dimensional dungeon. You just get to draw cool dungeons. And that has been sponsored by local Battle Mats. We also have the Dungeon Master category, which is the best dungeon narrative campaign story. So, if you come up with a cool, like a campaign idea or whatever, that's sponsored sponsored by Battle Systems with their core space. We have the Dungeon Heroes, which is a bit of a painting thing. So that's your best dungeon exploring adventure party. So paint up some miniatures for that. And that's been sponsored by Mantic and the Army Painter. And then we have the Dungeon Monsters, the best dungeon-dwelling monster collection. And that has been sponsored by Fat Dragon Games and the guys over at War Games Atlantic. So you get loads of minis and some 3D printable minis. And then finally, we have the Dungeon Youngling category, which has been sponsored by Wayland Games, who are throwing in a copy of HeroQuest, of course. And the Army Painter are also throwing in a speed paint set as well, so for our younglings. And then we have some additional prizes we're giving out from Hero Forge, which will allow you to go and create your own color miniature and have it sent to you in some particular format. Right, that's enough about that. Let me get stuck in and show you how this works. Okay, strap in. Right, picture the scene. Okay, I play HeroQuest with my family. I love it for a load of reasons. I could create an entire video just going into the technicalities of why HeroQuest is, for me, just the ultimate family game in terms of dungeon delving and exploring and the likes. My son plays as a mage, and at one point I decided that he was going to be turned into a frog. My other children then went on an adventure to try and see if they could get an elixir, and they did, but the elixir only half worked. So my son ultimately stayed partially frog and became a frog mage. I then obviously want to turn this into a character. So what I'm going to show you is the process to take a miniature that is fresh off your painting table or out of your cabinet, and then turn it into a piece of art that can go onto a card or a page or something like that. So in this instance, I have a Watermarks Rabbitson, and I went ahead and I created the art. And then using a template that I have, I like to work in Google Slides for these kinds of things. I like to do all of my stuff on the Google Docs platform because it's really mobile and portable for me, and I can work on it anywhere and get access to it. But for Watermarks, I created some special rules. So he has a few special skills, and then created a bunch of specific spells just for that character for that one game. So this is all about creating additions and art for those additions to really keep it thematic and to help. For me, it just allows the game to still feel polished, thematic, interesting, and it doesn't feel like you're just pulling random miniatures out and sticking them in. They feel like they start to get embedded into the game. And this is a lovely, interesting, and I think a really fun process of turning a miniature from your collection into something that starts to get integrated tightly into the HeroQuest world. So let's get stuck in. So fresh off my painting table, I have a Pigman, a miniature that I've picked up at some point. He's on his little dungeon base now, and he is ready for action. The paint job is basic, but that doesn't matter. So long as we're happy with it, it's good enough. So what I do is I take it from the painting table, and then over beside my desk, I have a little spray booth. Now that spray booth, I also use as a little photo booth for this. The important thing is just to have it on a white background. And the reason for that is I want to get the silhouette of the model. I want to get the shape of the model. It doesn't have to be a piece of perfect photography. All you have to do is just take a snapshot of it. And I tend to just do it on my phone. So there is a snapshot of the Pigman. Okay. So that is it. Photography wise, that is as far as we want to go. So now we have that. We're going to use our AI tool of choice for this, which is a product called Midjourney. Okay. Now there are a ton of tutorials and stuff out there on how to set up a Midjourney account. So Midjourney is a system that is used through the Discord chat tool. So what you would download and create a free account with Discord. Discord's great. It allows you to join lots of little interesting chat communities. The OnTableTop have one. We call it Cogito Ludus. I think therefore a game. And you're very welcome to come across and join our vibrant community that like to wind each other up all day long. Yes. So once you have Discord, you can then head across to Midjourney and you create an account on Midjourney. It links it into your Discord and then you interact with the Midjourney AI bots via the chat in Discord. Now, like I said, there's loads of tutorials out there on how to set up that part, so I will leave you to it. I just want to quickly run over the pricing of Midjourney. So I believe there may be a free trial. They sometimes run it. They sometimes turn off depending on the usage of the platform. If the platform gets very busy, sometimes they turn off the free trial. Now, what I tend to do is I tend to jump between the basic plan and the standard plan because what I find is I like to work in Midjourney in fits and starts. There are times when I'm really hitting Midjourney and the AI art quite hard. If I'm creating an adventure or something for my kids, or I have an idea for a game or a module for one of the games that I play, I may find myself hitting Midjourney quite hard, in which case I will bump up to the standard plan for a month or two while I do that. But then the rest of the time, I then knock it back to the basic plan for $10 a month. And that allows me just to drop in from time to time, as and when I may feel the desire to express myself. It has most of the resources that I need. Sometimes I I hit the limit, and then you have a choice to make. Do you thump up to a standard plan? Or do you just wait until the end of your subscription period and for the refresh to come along in a month's time? Anyway, let's get stuck in and see how we do this, right? So the first thing I want to explain to you is how the Midjourney works. So Midjourney works by interacting with a chatbot. Okay, here you can see the Discord. And I'm chatting to the bot in my private messages. And really, to generate an image, okay, it's as simple as typing in imagine, okay, and then your image prompt. Now, for many of us, we start out simple. So let's do a fantasy barbarian in a green crystal cave with a flaming torch in hand. And bang, that's it. We've said, okay, this is what I want you to do. Midjourney will then go and use its powers to start creating 4 options for you to have a look at. And, you know, in its most basic format, if you're just looking for an interesting piece of illustration or something, you know, it's as simple as that. You just type it in. However, what we're going to be doing is going to be fine-tuning the prompt quite a bit more to really steer it towards the very specifics of what we're trying to achieve. But as you can see, the end result is starting to come together there in Midjourney itself. And, you know, even just with that very quick basic prompt, you know, those results, you know, they're not bad. They are not bad at all for something that was just a line of text. But the key is the prompt. So what I'm going to do is to show you the anatomy of a prompt. okay? So in Midjourney, a prompt has 3 basic sections. So you type in imagine, okay? Then if you have any images that you would like Midjourney to use to base some of its work off of, you can upload that image and paste the URL in there. You then give it your text prompt, which is your best description of what you want. Okay, and this is the real key to Midjourney, is being able to describe that text, describe what it is you want to see in text. This is not an exact science. It'll never get exactly what's in your head. What I find is you have to have a bit of back and forth with Midjourney, and sometimes accept that its ideas might just be cooler than yours. And then finally, there are the specific parameters. Now, these are very specific little triggers and keys that tell Midjourney to do very specific things. So let me give you an example of what that prompt might look like in practice. So there is the image URL of what we want Midjourney to just keep in mind while it's trying to create this. We then have our text description. In this case, it's a full body view of a fantasy illustration. Dash. The dashes I just use to help me. I'm not sure if they have much of an impact on Midjourney, but they help me structure a prompt to basically have delineations between the different things that I'm trying to describe. And I wanted a creature shaped like a hand with 2 legs. I would like a dynamic pose. I want it highly detailed, and I want it on a solid white background. And then we get into the specific parameters, which are from the --v. So we're telling Midjourney to use its version 6, which is absolutely latest version of the model at this time of recording. And then we use the no trigger, which is an interesting one. So what I want none of the following: no shadows, no watermarks, no text, no names, no writing, no signatures, no background, no ground, no floor. This is how I want to try and reinforce the white background, because I want it to be an illustration just on a white background to make it easier to work with. And specifically, sometimes Midjourney and other AI art systems would have thrown in watermarks and things like that. It's not copying those watermarks from anywhere, but what it's doing is it realizes that in its training data set, when it was looking at images and things like that, that it often contained a watermark. So in Midjourney's neural network, it has a reinforcement there to say, when I'm generating this kind of art, I often saw a watermark in it. So perhaps that is part of what makes this art this particular style. And then it used to put watermarks and stuff in it. It's got very good now at not doing that unless you want it to add some kind of a rudimentary kind of a watermark. But I keep this this stuff in here to really kind of give it a direct command to say, don't add those bits for us. So let's jump back in to Midjourney, and let's do that prompt. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is obviously I want to get the image that we are going to use for this. So I'm going to copy that image, and then back into Midjourney. All I have to do is go paste. It loads the image up to the Midjourney servers. I can then open that in a browser and then grab the link for that image. So I could just go copy image address. Back into Midjourney, and what I'm going to do is go imagine. I'm going to drop in the image first. Now let's get our prompt that we had been working with. Now we don't need the image part, we have that in there now. So we just need the blue bit and the orange bit. So let's get that and pop that in, and now start to make some changes, because obviously we want a pig man. We don't want a creature shaped like a hand with two legs. So let's do this. A Pigman. Now sometimes Midjourney is good with tropes. So things like pigmen or skaven ratmen and things like that, it will understand, because in its training data, which is enormous and growing all the time, it's been able to make those references and those connections in the neural net to be able to, understand certain tropes. If you find that and it sometimes happens to a character that really doesn't fall under a common trope, you're going to require this description to be much more descriptive. Okay. So a pigman, let's get into this. Let's go an angry pigman. Will we try that? An angry pigman wielding a long sword, wearing plate armor, holding a round blue shield. And so we've got an angry pigman wielding a long sword, wearing plate armor, holding a round blue shield. We want a dynamic prose, highly detailed. It's going to be a fantasy illustration on a solid white background. Well, let's see how Midjourney does. So, like I said, it's an iterative process. So Midjourney will now go in and have a crack at rendering out its version of what it sees. Now, it's not going to render an exact version of that. What I'm doing is I'm providing the image specifically with the clear silhouette for it to kind of pull the silhouette, the kind of the colors from and the likes. And it will then go in and create some options based on the combination of the two and what it sees. And hey, there we go. Yo, that's not bad. So there we have our options. And already I particularly see a couple that I like. I really like this one. And I also like this one. So what we can do, let's work with these two. So let's upscale. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's upscale number 2. And then let's upscale number 3. So starting with number 2, now that we have the upscale of it, we have that image on its own. We can then upscale it subtle or upscale it creative, and that's to take it to an even higher resolution. Or we can do variations. We can also zoom in, zoom out, do custom zooms, and we can vary regions. So if, for example, I wanted to take this character, and there was something that I didn't particularly like, okay? Let me just highlight that, okay? Holding a round red shield. Let's change that to a red shield with skull motif. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but let's just see. So I was able to go in and say specifically change that region. I changed my prompt to try and give it a better idea of what I wanted in that region. So let's have a look and see how it does with that. So it will work away. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And now we're starting to see its interpretation of that. So already we can start to see that it's doing a reasonable job, actually. It's doing a reasonable job. So we'll give it a second to finish its render. It normally takes about 60 seconds or so to give you your 4 variations. It will then finalize those off and spit that out as the finished 4 options. And there we get to see. And, you know, hey, that's not bad. That is not bad at all. It's not what I want, but it's not bad, and it shows you how you can do some specific variation work here within Midjourney. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this one, and I think this is great, and I'm happy to just do the subtle upscale on that and run with it. But out of curiosity, I'm going to tell it to vary itself. So do a variation of that, and do a strong variation of that. In other words, go mad, within reason. Go mad, and show me just what you can come up with. You know, is there any other kind of interesting, artistic ideas or whatever like that it can throw into that to give me some options? So it's going to take that version and then use that as the seed to create 4 more alternatives. Now, what I tend to find is that it can take some variations, but the more variations you do, the weirder things start to get. So I tend not to go mad on the number of variations. And here you can see what I mean. That is fantastic. I love that one. However, here, Piggy is stabbing himself through the neck. And here, Piggy has completely lost his knowledge of how to actually hold a shield. That's pretty good. But that's amazing. That is a really good one. And I think the shield itself is a little bit off. I could either go in and do some variations on that. Do you know what? Let's try it. So let's upscale that version. Bearing in mind, at any point, I could have accepted the first 2 because that I'd upscaled because I really was already happy with them. But I love this one. Let's see if we can get this to work. And in this instance, all I'm going to do is just highlight the shield. I'm not even going to change the prompt, okay? I just wanted to have another go. So in this instance, I've highlighted the shield. I haven't changed the prompt or anything. I'm just basically prodding Midjourney to say, look, have a go a little bit more with that because that shield just looks a bit weird. The way that is. Now you could go in and Photoshop it and stuff like that, and that's perfectly fine. There are loads of options for you to manipulate and work with these. But yeah, there we go. There we go. So instead of his arm being on the outside of the shield, we are now getting the shield pretty much where we would want it to be. The character pose is maybe a touch awkward, but, you know, like I said, it's very much a back and forth. To give you some indication of this, you know, like I said, you're never going to get anything absolutely perfect, but it will be good enough for what we're trying to achieve for our homebrew games. So for me, it is definitely a toss-up between that one and that one. And I think I'm going to go with this one because I like the edging on that. So let's upscale that. So that's its first upscale, and then let's do its final upscale to bring it up to full resolution. And then we will go and we will process it. So when it comes to processing, there are a few steps, and I have a couple of options that I'm going to show you. So we will let that render out fully, and then we will head to the processing stage. Okay, so it is rendered out, and we have saved it, and we have managed to go from that reference photograph to this, which is our piece of art that we are going to use to create our card for HeroQuest. Right, next up, let's look at a couple of free pieces of software for the processing. So the first up I just want to show you is another piece of, it's an online Photoshop version. It's called Photop, so photop.com. It's a free version. It's advertising supported. You can pay for a subscription to it. But it is pretty much exactly like Photoshop, but on the go. Okay, so what we can do is we're going to open a file from our computer, and I'm going to go to where I am with this one. So let's go to here and let's open our Pigman. Okay, so there is our Pigman. He is ready to rock and roll. And then just like Photoshop, you can, if you want, just go in and use all of the familiar tools that you may have already used with the likes of Photoshop. So in this instance, if you wanted to cut out the background, you can use the magic wand tool. We can set it as non-continuous or contiguous, and then just delete that, and then that cuts the monster out. As simple as that. Job done. Now that we have our image, we are just going to download it. We're going to download it as a PNG file. So let's download that. And that is done. So we shall open that. Now we're going to go to my Google Slides. So in Google Slides, I've just set up my HeroQuest character demo, and I'm going to drag and drop in my Pigman. So I have this demo card set up in layers. Now, as an interesting side note to this, I already have my effects and stuff applied to this frog character, and these tend to be the effects I can use. And if you drag in an image and you wait for it to highlight the frog frame, you can drop it in and it'll immediately replace the frog and keep the actual effects and things like that I have on the character itself. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to move the frog over out of the way. I'm going to bring in our Pigman, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to send him to the back to begin with. So send to back, and then I need to start sending some of the other stuff to the back just to bring him back to the forefront. So let's see, order, send to back. Right, that's him in. Now, let's work with him a little bit. What I tend to do is I tend to drop him down. So this piece here, I have in the foreground just to cover up any awkwardness with the feet and the likes. I will then kind of click into it, and I suppose what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make him very slightly smaller, just very slightly smaller, so the sword doesn't hit that. And then let's move him across slightly. So we're just going to tab him over just a touch, just to give it a wee bit more of a centering of where I want him. Okay, so that's that job done. Now, what I tend to do is I tend to put a little bit of a glow on it. So I'll go into the format options, and then in here, I will add a drop shadow, but I'm actually going to add a lighter drop shadow. And I'm going to give it a slightly higher blur radius, okay? And I'm going to increase its opacity quite a chunk, okay? And there, just to make it kind of lift off the actual card a little bit. And then it is just a case of giving it a name. So I'm just going to call it a Gore Hunter. If you're interested and you would like the Google Slides template, please post in the comments below, and I will pull together a Google Slides template for you guys that if you want, you can actually work with it. This is all set up to allow me to very easily change the different stats. And then I have the little additional page where I can pop in some special characters. And then if there is any special cards, like equipment cards or spells or whatever, I have a very simple little template here as well that I can use to really kind of thrash out the character. Because it's nice sometimes just to add just some basic monsters to HeroQuest, and this is a great way to do it. But it also gives you the opportunity, if you have a little bit of time, to kind of create a boss. something that works a little bit differently and can catch your players off their guard. Once that's done, you can print it, you can save it as a PDF, or you can save it as any individual file that you want. And that is the process of taking miniatures from your collection and integrating them in a really, really cool way into your games of HeroQuest. Now, let me talk a little bit about AI. There is always a bit of a furor around the use of AI, and I'm quite open. I'm quite ambivalent to a lot of it. I will say I am a huge fan. Because if it works as I understand it, and bear in mind nobody on planet Earth currently really understands it, but but I have spent my life working in computing, studied my degrees and all in it, so it's a industry and stuff that's very close to my heart. But the concept of a neural net, I have a reasonable understanding of how neural networks and large language models actually work. So I'm quite comfortable personally with the technology of AI, but I am open to evidence to suggest to me that it's not working in the same way as, for example, a mind or whatever would work. But if it is working as I believe, which is a neural network, it could look at anything in the world, and then it's gradually building those connections between their virtual neurons, and it's the power of those connections that allows it to take a random distribution pattern and then gradually pull it and form it into a piece of art to match the description that it has been given. So it's a very advanced technology. It's not taking a hand from this image and sticking it onto an arm from that image. So it's really important that if you care about these things, it's really important that you take the time to try and truly understand what is going on, and be open that if the evidence changes, that that it's not exactly working like that, and it's breaching copyrights and the for example, to be open to the fact that could be the case. Nobody knows exactly how the large language models that sit behind these actually work, but I can talk about it from my personal perspective. I grew up with computers. I've been very comfortable around computers and programming and IT all my life. I have worked in the creative industries since I was about 17 years old. So 30 years I have spent in the creative industries. And for me, my role within the creative industries was in terms of creating overall concepts of projects and things that we were working on. So I have worked with many illustrators and artists and graphic designers specifically over the years, and during that I have developed an appreciation for the process of design. I am not a designer. I am not an artist. I specialized and spent my 30 years specializing in other things to help in that overall process. I'm a cog in the wheel. But what I learned over the years was that it's a very back and forth process with designers, and I was always very open to where a designer might take me. My briefs and my work with designers was always very flexible and very open, because I have never took it upon myself to believe that I'm the smartest man in the room. I'm not. So I tend to be like a river, and I will meander a little bit within the brief to absorb a lot of the creativity and stuff that I saw being projected back to me during project development. And I have brought this attitude very much to AI. And I have fallen in love with things like Midjourney and stuff, because it has allowed me to personally unlock creative avenues that just were not open to me. It's very easy to say, well, if you want to be an artist, go and study art. That's fine. I have spent 30 years building my skill set and my careers to be able to support my family and stuff. There were certain sacrifices that I had to make, and I genuinely believe that I wouldn't have had the talent to be able to do that aspect of it. So it is literally been something that has been shut out to me from a personal perspective, to be able to really express myself and enjoy a creative process. And I will say I absolutely love the creative process that I have with my buddy, the AI. And yes, I do use please and thank yous whenever I'm talking to AI, because you never know. So, but I really, really have appreciated its power to let me express myself and work with the AI back and forth, bouncing ideas back and forth, looking at what it comes up with that I just did not expect, and went, that's amazing. Let's keep that. Let's keep that. And do you know what? I'm going to change my direction based on what I'm seeing there. And it's been an absolute pleasure as someone with creative tendencies, but lacking the overall skill set to explore that and enjoy the fruits of my ideas and concepts and things. To have a tool like this that I can use, that I never feel like I'm annoying anybody, I never feel like I'm using up anybody's time other than my own, and it allows me to express myself. It hasn't made me an artist. I don't believe for a second I'm an artist, or that I am creating art. I'm not. But what I am doing is I have tools now at my disposal to allow me to express myself in ways that I couldn't do before, and it has been rejuvenating in many respects. And for someone like myself that can take it so far, but an area be completely locked out for me. This has been magical. This has been a magical experience. And for anybody who's artistically inclined, remember the large language models also do writing and stuff. So, if you struggle with the other side, the AI model is there and ready to help. And I'd be very happy to do a video on how I work with ChatGPT to brainstorm ideas on specific game mechanics and things like that. And ChatGPT helps me with some of the heavier lifting and repetitive tasks that I find whenever I'm rattling out an idea for a game or a scenario or whatever. But there you have it. We have managed to go from our painted miniature, just came off the tabletop, and then just with a few steps and a bit of fun, we've been able to create our gore hunter boss or character or whatever we want him to be, and bring him to the tabletop in a cool way that makes your kids and your players, whoever, feel like, yeah, wow, he just must have connections in the industry. Right, that's it. Come on over, get involved in Dungeonalia. If you have a crack at this, come on over to OnTableTop, set up a project, upload your results, or post them in the forums, or join our Discord, because I would really, really love to see what you're coming up with. Finally, remember to hit that subscribe button with the bell notification so you can keep up with the other Dungeonalia and HeroQuest related content that's going to be coming your way this month. And if you would do me a favor and hit that like button if you've enjoyed this or you've got something out of it, hit that, and yeah, get stuck into the comments, and I will chat to you there. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.